This video is gonna be quick, real simple. It's gonna be something simple. And the question is, who is God? So we have to find this out because when we talk to people in different religions, let me turn this down. I have pops on the TV. All right. So when we talk to different religious people, they want to teach us about their religion. They tell us about God. But what is a God and who is God? God is the creator or ruler of the universe and source of all moral authority. Now, when we go into these books and you go into different religious books, you find out that this God is the creator of the universe. Now, when this God created the universe, he created man and everything within it. And he comes in flesh to save the world. So one thing we have to ask is, what is this God's name? Where is this God from? Things that we don't usually ask because we're scared to ask questions about the Bible out of fear of how our family would feel about that. So, when you go into the Bible and you go into the book, God's name, he introduces himself as Yahweh. Now, you find out that who Yahweh is in its original language, Yahweh is an alien. Now, let me explain this even clearer and further. Now, if I told you something came out of the sky, and when it came out of the sky, it impregnated a woman, but it impregnated a woman through another being, that you would look at me crazy. You would call it funny, but these are the things that we believe, and we believe these things with our life and without questioning. Now, you must question everything because everything has an answer. And if you are scared to question, that means you don't want the answer. And if someone is telling you not to question, it's because that person does not have the answer. So now, the next question is, now that we have God's name as Yahweh, where is Yahweh from? And when you go into the book and you go into Hebrew and Shemiam, God is telling you he's from Orion. Now listen to that. You have a being from a star system that comes down, makes man, impregnates women, and in the book of Levi, he's asking for blood sacrifices. These are the things that we are skipping through and not reading out of ignorance. Okay. Now when you understand this book, you have to understand everything. Some people like to read what they like to read. Me, I read things that make me most uncomfortable because most conversations that I have with most people are uncomfortable. So I understand the pressure that it is and how hard it is to try to understand certain things that you were told not to question. But it's time to have these answers. Okay? 1 second. All right. So what's the origin of Yahweh? You have to understand who was the tablet or who was this book given to. There are two Torahs, not one. There were two. Abraham had one and Moses had one. Now, when you go according to Abraham and you go look for Abraham's origin, you find out that Abraham was Sumerian. So when Hebrew Israelites say they aren't African, what they're saying is we are Sumerian. We are from that same plate, but we are Sumerian. Now, here we go. Abraham, the father of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Where is Abraham from? Abraham is from Ur, Chaldea. Or in Hebrew means flames, and that's Hebrew Strong 5784. So the city he was from was named after flames. Now, this is a quote from the Zoroastrian Faith and Philosophy by Dr. Vizra. Hold on, click classic video in the back. You already know what that is, man. I might as well turn that up so y'all can hear Pops in the back. But long story short, who was Abraham and where he was from? Abraham was a man from Chaldea, Sumeria, Iran, whatever you want to call it. Now, Abraham was a fire priest, a Zoroastrian priest. Now, Abraham says that he talked to this being, he talked to this God. Now, the same deity that Abraham talked to introduced himself under a different name. And this name was El Shaddai. Right? 1 second. Let me find this. I have to flip back and forth. Now, when you go into El Shaddai, the word is broken down into two. El Shaddai. El Shaddai is a is a devil, is a demon breast goat head deity that asked both Cain and Abel for offerings. Now, if you go into the book when God is asking Cain and Abel for offerings, you understand that Cain was a grainer, but Cain was a meat eater. Abel had the pigs and the stock and all that good stuff, but he was a vegetarian. So what happened was, now, both of these guys, Cain and Abel, they offer to El Shaddai. Now, we all know in the Bible, God or El Shaddai sided with Abel. So now, after this, we know Cain killed Abel. But before Cain killed Abel, there was fighting going on. Cain was very jealous. Let me tell you why Cain was jealous. And let me put this on pause so I can tell you why Cain was jealous. Cain was jealous of Abel because Cain's real dad is El Shaddai. And we know El Shaddai as God Almighty. That is the translation we get when we translate it into English. El Shaddai is in fact the serpent that Eve met in the garden. And when she had taken that fruit was actually his seed. So Eve was impregnated by this serpent. Who is this serpent? This serpent is a reptilian. Sounds funny, but his name is Nanar. Now, when you go into the language is giving you all these new names that I'm giving you. Because again, as stated yesterday, God itself is a general term. So we can't use God to describe our deity when there is more than one. Now let me tell you why there is more than one God. In English, we call God, God. But when you go into the Torah, or the first 5 books of the Bible, God is called Yahweh Elohim. Now let me tell you about the word Elohim. I will get to that Satan. That is a misconception. What you have to understand is Satan and El Shaddai are the same people. You just giving them different names. That's why God said he's going to cause confusion. Once you split the tongue, you create religion. Because if I call the creator A and you call the creator B and we're speaking 2 different languages, me and you going to have a conflict. We're going to fight. So we have to get to the origin of all religion, and we know where that's at. But what we have to understand is the Bible did not originate in Egypt. Egypt made it what it was, but it did not. The Torah did not come out of Egypt first. The Torah came out of Chaldea, Sumeria. Now they got me off, but let's get back on. So Elohim, he's called Yahweh Elohim. Now what does Elohim mean in Hebrew? Elohim means a supreme being, of one of those supreme beings. Elohim is a plural word. So when you're praying to God in English, you're praying to more than one being. Most people don't know that. They don't want to accept that, but that's what it is in its language. You understand where I'm coming from? Okay, now, let's make it even better. Elohim comes from El Elo, which comes from El. Okay, which leads us back to El Shaddai. Now, let me tell you about Cain being El Shaddai's son. Eve could not give birth. He said that perfectly answered. Oh, yeah. Eve could not give birth. Let me tell you why Eve could not give birth. Reason being, she was of Adam's seed. In Hebrew, what is her name again? Then you go into the language and into Samaria, her name is Titi. Titi means seed of my seed. And when you read it in English, it means Eve. So Eve could not give child to Adam because they were from the same DNA. Now this leads us to the perfect thing that is going on right now. We all heard that Adam had a wife named Lilith. Lilith and Adam had 12 sets of twins. Now, twins were only born at this time. We'll get into that another day. So Lilith had 12 sets of twins by Adam. She left Adam for one of their grandchildren. It sounds funny. Now, after Cain was born, Adam and Eve, they were kicked out of the garden. Reason being, Eve and El Shaddai, went against Yahweh. El Shaddai was not supposed to mess with this human woman, and Eve was not supposed to mess with this man. So after they leave the garden, so forth and so forth, we get into where Cain killed Abel about the sacrifices. Now, what's really crazy is we have the questions that we must ask are the questions that we don't ask. Like this. Why are there 200 fallen angels in the Bible? These 200 fallen angels were led by 20 leaders, and they came down to have sex with Adamite women. Think about that. That's something that we need to think about. So if there were 200 aliens, okay, headed by 20 leaders that came down and they had sex with these women, where was God? Where was this creator? So who is their God? Now you also have to ask the question, does God acknowledge? No. Does Yahweh acknowledge other Elohim, other beings? Yes, he does. Because in the Bible he states that he wanted the Persians to go through Egypt and run through the land of Ammon. So he understands that there is more than one being there. He states this. He's telling you, he's telling the Hebrew Israelites to go to the land of Egypt and smash the land of Ammon. This is what he's telling them. These are questions we don't ask. Another question we don't ask. We're always told that Christ came down, and God came down in flesh as Christ to save us. But we never asked ourselves, why was Jesus praying to himself in the desert? Is there any way that this cup can pass over me? That scared a lot of people. I understand that. These are the things that we must ask. And I'm going to cut this short because we have to do more. And I'm going to add these questions because it sucks. The fact that we let this one word trick us and take us away from everything. When this one word means more than one. If you ask someone, they say, oh, God's name is Yahweh Elohim. But they're not telling you what Elohim means. I just told you what Elohim means. So now we know that anyone dealing with the Bible, the Quran, the Torah are all polytheistic. These are different beings that you're playing with. And English is a horrible language to use for translations. You don't have an H in the word sugar, but you say it with the H. So you put in something that's not there. That is what we do with religion. We feel this power, so we put something there to try to explain it when it's not explaining it for all of us. Your personal experiences can't jump on all of us like that. You can't come at us because we don't believe what you believe, and when we believe what you believe, we question what you know. So if you know something, you have to answer these questions. You can't tell us not to ask questions but want us to believe, because the lie in belief stands out and it's in the middle. These are things that we as a people must do. We can't believe no more. These things, we have to know these things. So let me point out some things that you know now. Now you know that God in English is horrible translation. You know that there are many gods in the Torah, and we know for a fact that Elohim means more than one. So when someone questions you on these things or try to talk to you about these things, you have to question them because we need answers. If this is supposed to lead our people, we need these answers so we can get right and move forward. And that'll be it for right now. But when I come back, we are going in on El Shaddai. So, what do?